You guys are coming off the program's first playoff win since 2009. So I'm curious what the energy is like around the program and around campus these days.
It's good. I think there's a positive outlook. We were really young last year, and so I think there was it was an interesting year of some really low lows at some points of the season and some really high highs. And so there's a lot of energy because we got a lot of guys coming back.
Can you tell us about the two guys sitting to your right who are coming back?
Yeah, I think it's been well documented about Mr. Volk here and what he's been able to do as a player. But I think more importantly as a person, I sit on the National Coaches Council for the NMDP Bone Marrow Foundation. And, he just came back from donating bone marrow to save a young person's life. So the guy that's the football player here is one thing, but he's also that type of a person that's the top-notch type of person. And then Tyler, been with us a long time now. He's been playing running back for us for a long time, and just the same type of guy. Just two of the best that we've ever had in our program.
Well, Tyler, I'll start with you. You're the preseason Lone Star Conference Offensive Player of the Year, coming off of the only 1,000-yard season in the Lone Star Conference last year. Looking back on last year, what allowed you to be so successful, and what are you most excited about for this offense this year?
Last year we had a really good O-line, and Coach Fisk does a really good job getting those guys going. And we met with the O-line every day, and then so we were always on the same page. So I felt like that really helped me be successful last year. And then we got all of them coming back this year, so I felt like that's why one thing I'm really excited about.
Tanner, the reigning Cliff Harris Award winner for the finest defensive player in Division II, the first junior to ever win that award. I know you've answered this question before, but I'll make you do it on this. What did that honor mean for you to bring home that award?
Yeah, obviously just having your name attached to Cliff Harris and the person that he is, it's pretty cool. But, it's a new season, means nothing now, right? So, I came back for another season and obviously to play next to guys like this and play for him. So, means nothing now, but, it's always cool to attach your name to a Hall of Famer and stuff like that. So,
Coach Fisk, this is the Wildcats' third year in the Lone Star Conference. So what do you maybe know about this league now that you didn't know if we were talking back in 2022?
Well, I think you've heard it from just about every program here is that all of us could have been in one place or another last year. We were all in tight ball games. We were lucky to come out on top of a lot of those ball games, except for the last one. And I did vote for you guys, Coach McCullough. So, no, it's a great conference. It's such an honor to be a part of it. There's so many great coaches and players in this conference, and you better buckle up your chin strap and tie your shoes up every week because it's a slugfest out there.
Tyler, Coach mentioned it about how tough this conference is. You guys are picked to win the Lone Star Conference this year. Do you feel that puts a target on your chest? How does that change things moving forward?
I feel like it does put a target on our chest, but I feel like we just got to come out every week and put our best foot forward and execute at a high level and start fast and finish strong.
Tanner, this is the Wildcats defense, brings back 9 starters, including yourself. What's the expectation for this unit, and what has the offseason been like with those expectations, knowing all the success that you guys were able to have last year?
Yeah, I think just obviously the guys that come back, we were a young ball club, but we're a young ball club that's seen a lot of snaps. So I don't know if there's any expectation, but just expectations for us is to win every week. And, Coach Torg obviously gets us ready, our DC. And, we've had probably the most guys we've had in a long time in the summer and just staying committed. And, we meet every week as a defense and get in our playbooks and watch film and hang out and stuff like that. So,
picked to win the Lone Star Conference in 2024. Let's give it up for the Wildcats of Central Washington. Coach, you guys went 7-3 last year. And the 3 losses, this feels like a theme here. The 3 losses came by a combined 18 points. So what has been your message to your team during this offseason?
Well, the message is it's a tough conference. You got to come out and play your best game. There were other games. We were 7-3, but we were in dogfights, in most of the games that we played. So you got to come out and play your best. The neat thing about these guys and this group is, we went 7-3, and you would have thought the world was going to end. These guys really buckled down in the offseason, got to work, and understood the, basically the commitment of what it takes to be great in this league. And you win great games, tight games, and you lose some. And last year the ball bounced away from us a few times, and again, that's just the game. So, that's kind of the thought process going in. We got a great group coming back, so we're excited about it. And And the neat thing is you get to go play again, and so we're looking forward to that.
Tell me about the gentleman sitting to your left.
I got Jordan McKinney here. He's a senior defensive back from Waco. I got Kyle Bradford. Kyle's a senior receiver from Frisco Heritage High School. And I got Eric Rasco, senior linebacker from San Antonio Warren High School.
This is tough for me because I covered all three of these guys in high school, and I remember them like very distinctly. Jordan McKinney, a La Vega Pirate. You were second in the Lone Star Conference in total scoring defense last year. Where's your team? So when you take a look at this Rams defense in 2024, what has you excited about it?
That we can do it again. You know, we have a lot of young guys that played this past year that were coming back. So we're a young group, but we have a lot of experience as well. So I'm excited for that.
Kyle, Coach mentioned it. He said, you would have thought the world ended with you guys being 7-3, but that's a good thing. He said, as far as the expectations. From a player perspective, what has the attitude been like in the locker room and in the off season coming off of last year?
I think it's just been that we've got to go and earn it this year. Last year it was tough, like you said, being 7-3 because the expectations been set. I think since I've been here, besides my freshman year, we've been to the playoffs like pretty much every time besides this past year. And, we got to go earn it this year again, and that's the expectation for us.
Eric, this was a program that has high expectations, and after a slow start, you guys won 6 of your final 7. You got a flurry there at the end. Do you feel like that kind of finish has carried over to the offseason? How has it impacted kind of the offseason work?
Yeah, I think it definitely carries over. But at the end of the day, you look at the big picture, the final picture, right? It starts back to week 1. Kind of just going to the next season like you're 0-0, right? So we're going to start over and kind of regroup and get back to setting a new expectation. I think when you try to redo something like we tried to redo 2022, you get caught up in the past. And when you start the game, it's 0-0. So,
Coach, I want to ask you about, you've been really steadfast in your commitment to recruiting high school guys. These guys up here, a perfect example. How do you balance that with kind of the changing landscape in college football with the transfer portal?
Yeah, it's changed. There's no doubt. We've been on the hand of losing guys and gaining a few here and there, but we're going to stay steady in recruiting high school players in the state of Texas, and we want to do that. But at the end of the day, you're going to get left behind if you're not taking a look at the transfer portal and seeing what's there. I think more so when you're losing kids. You lose guys. When you have a kid that's playing for you for 2, 3, 4 years, and then all of a sudden they're gone, you got a hole there, and well, maybe that redshirt freshman is not ready to go. So you got to look at it in the transfer portal, but we're going to stay committed to recruiting the Texas high schools, and it's great football, and I love you win championships. In my belief is with your upperclassmen and guys that have been in the program for more years, and so that's something that we're going to stay committed to.
Jordan, this is a team that's picked to finish second in the Lone Star Conference. You guys are, in range of a championship. But you're a veteran of this conference now. Can you give me some perspective on what a grind it is to play in this conference once you get into conference play?
Yeah, everybody's good. Everybody knows that. And you can go win, you can go lose week in, week out to anybody, So it's definitely a challenge every week that we have to take every opponent serious and treat them the same, So can't take anybody lightly.
Kyle, you were first team all-conference last year along with your teammates Ron Rideau. What kind of goals do you have personally, and then also just for the offense heading into 2024?
Really just to win. I think that's just the ultimate goal. I mean, that's kind of what they beat into our heads is like, no matter how close the games are, no matter what's the points on the board, we just want to be on the winning side of it, and that's really just the main goal for us and the main personal goal I have for myself.
Eric, I remember watching you play at Warren down there in San Antonio, and now you're a 2-time first team all LSC linebacker, entering your final year there in San Angelo. Where have you seen yourself grow the most from the kid that I was watching as a warrior down there at San Antonio Warren to the guy that you are now?
Well, first of all, most people don't even know who Warren is, so I appreciate you actually shouting him out. Where have I seen me grow the most? I think just transitioning to college, I kind of learned how to work hard. I thought I worked hard in high school, but then when you get to college and you see, dang, this dude been here 5 years and I'm not getting on the field this year, I kind of learned how to work hard and kind of take that to the next level. So that's probably the biggest area of growth. And then also just learning how to become a leader. I thought I was a leader in high school too, but in high school you're kind of just a leader if you can ball. But in college it's more about like how you carry yourself, the kind of man you are, and if you can command a room. So I learned how to do some of the things off the field better, and just be able to like kind of get to know people and build relationships, all the good things that go into it. So
Let's give it up for the Rams of Angelo State. Not a bad first year at the helm. Lone Star Conference, first outright LSC title, first playoff berth. So now that you've had time to digest 2023, what was it about last year's team that was so special?
Well, I think obviously the culture was changed pretty much overnight. The transfer portal in today's times, we've really honed in on that. But the difference is just the leaders we had last year. Obviously having Kenny Hertzer, who's now our offensive coordinator, Hayden Kelly, Matt Zubiotti, some of those guys in the locker room, they are the head coach of the locker room. So we were blessed to have those leaders that really passed the torch down to these guys.
Speaking of these guys, tell me about these guys.
Yeah, so we got Jeremiah Cooley, senior receiver of the year in the conference last year. Jalen Rockmore, McKinney's own, right here, linebacker, senior, and then Dylan Graham, our senior quarterback.
Jeremiah, let me start with you. You had the Lone Star Conference title, fantastic year, but a first-round playoff loss to Bemidji State and just in a heartbreaker. How much do you guys talk about how great last season was versus maybe the sour ending?
Yeah, like you said, definitely ended on a sour note. Me personally, it just every time I think of it, it just makes me mad. Like, we had that good season, and that's why we ended it. So when we talked to a couple of the guys, it's definitely not a good feeling. And we're like, we don't want to go out that way again. So
that fuels you guys moving forward? Yeah. Well, certainly. Jalen, let me ask you. You guys had the #1 scoring offense in the Lone Star Conference last year. Big reason why you guys won the conference, or scoring defense rather. Big reason why you won the conference. What was it about last year's unit that was so special, and what has you fired up about this year's unit?
It's really just everybody buying in, just trusting the guy next to you to make the play, and him doing the same for you. Iron sharpens iron, so when you're going against the offense that's putting up 40 points a game, you can only be great.
Dylan, you're in one of the most interesting situations in the conference. You're replacing Kenny Hertzer, who led the Lone Star Conference in passing last year, and now he's your offensive coordinator. So what is that dynamic like for you, and do you feel any pressure heading into 2024, taking over these reins?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a weird situation. Not everybody goes through it, but I couldn't be more grateful to learn under him, and our relationship has just grown throughout the process. I mean, having to sit behind him and be with the guys and watch him take over last year, there is kind of a little pressure, but you just don't let it get to you, and you focus on ourselves in the process of it.
Coach, great 2023. Now the work begins. You got to replace 3 All-Americans, 7 other starters besides that. But when you take a look at your roster, do you have a feeling quite yet on how this year's team may be different from last year's team?
You never quite know until you get to fall camp. I think last year, so many of these coaches in here I have respect for, these logos on the chest. I mean, everybody knows the Lone Star Conference, knows the caliber of teams in this conference. And then these coaches have talked about it. We were in 5 one-score games that could have gone the other way. And we were on the right side of history last year. So for us heading into this season and 2024 with these guys, yes, we hit the transfer portal hard again, but those 14 starters we have returning, we're really leaning on them to drive the culture, drive what we preach as far as family and want-to-know brotherhood. And then at the end of the day, we as coaches have to put them in the best position possible to make plays and let the playmakers work.
Jeremiah, the pride of Big Spring, you were the receiver of the year last year, the #1 scoring offense in the conference last year. You bring back 8 starters, but there are a couple key pieces, that you guys are replacing. What do you feel like is the biggest challenge for you guys heading into 2024 to make sure it's as good or better of an offense as it was in 23?
One thing is just can't have a selfish mentality. We all got to buy in and play for one another. Like you said, yeah, I was Lone Star receiver of the conference or whatever. I don't even really pay attention to that. Some of the other guys are coming to me, oh, we got receiver of the year, and I'm like, I'm cool off that. We want something bigger than that. So really just buying in and playing for one another.
Jalen, I didn't forget about you, but Dylan, I want to ask you. You've now got a year working with Coach McCullough under your belt. So tell us, Pretend he's not listening. What's it like to play for Coach McCullough?
It's great. I mean, I love it. The one thing that I respect about Coach McCullough is that he's not going to BS with you or beat around the bush. From day one, from the first day I met him, he was honest with me. So I can respect that totally, and just makes me want to play harder for him.
Now, Jalen, you're proud of McKinney. You're back home here. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room. You guys are the reigning conference champions, but you guys are not the last team I'm interviewing up here. You picked third in the conference. I can't stress enough, I don't have a vote. But are you a bulletin board material guy? Do you feel like this kind of thing is gonna fuel you guys heading forward?
I mean, yeah, looking at the polls, I mean, everybody looks at it and they use it as fuel, but at the end of the day, we were 7th last year, so we're not really looking at that. We just worry about us and how hard we can work and what can we do to put us back in that same position and beyond that.
The Falcons of UT Permian Basin, folks. 2023. A lot. 4 different starting quarterbacks last year. It was a bit of a whirlwind. Yet you guys were able to finish 7-3. How do you assess your 2023 season as a whole, and what does it mean for you guys moving forward?
We just felt like we fell a little short. Obviously, having to play 4 different quarterbacks or start 4 quarterbacks is a challenge. But I think it's a testament to the guys sitting to my left and their teammates. They rally behind the next guy. We have a next man up philosophy and don't really know when it's going to come to fruition. But those guys had to live it day in and day out, and we won some close ones. This is a very tough league, so we were fortunate to win 7, but feel like we fell a little short.
Can you introduce us to the gentleman to your left?
Definitely. First, I got Xavier Henderson. He's a graduate for us. He was general studies with a general studies degree. Then we have DeMarcus Hendricks, who will graduate this December with a kinesiology degree. And then we have Cavante McGowan, who's from the Arlington area, just down the road, and he'll graduate in December as well with a biology degree.
Xavier, I want to start with you. You were one of the big breakout stars of the team last year, a first-team All-LSC selection. What are the biggest kind of improvements and strides you feel like you've made over your time there in Kingsville that has you playing like this?
I feel like one of my biggest achievements, like, you know, what pushed me to be great is my teammates holding me accountable. They challenge me to be a better vocal leader every day. I'll be tired. I'm never going to lie to you. I'll be tired. And they force me to push through it, you know, finding a way.
Absolutely. DeMarcus, just a quick question before we get to my real question. Do you feel small up here between these two guys?
Maybe just next to
maybe,
Xavier.
Exactly. You know, seriously, this is your 5th year there with the Javelinas. You joined this program in 2020. What differences do you see in this program from the one that you joined to the one that you're playing in now?
I came when Coach Salinas came, and from being there with Xavier, they basically told me, like, this program is like making a change, and every year since I've been there, we've been better. We've been getting better, and every year after every season, coaches made changes to the little things, and that's why we've been better every season.
Cavante, you know, I asked Coach Salinas about quarterback injuries. You're on the field, you're on the offensive line dealing with it. From a player perspective, I'm curious, like, how challenging 2023 was, knowing that you guys were battling through injuries and it was a new lineup every year. How challenging was 2023 for you guys?
It was real challenging. You know, we went consistent. And we know we got to take accountability of everything. It was hard with playing with 4 quarterbacks, you know, not having the same chemistry as we had with our starting first string. So it was hard, but, you know, you just have to get behind the guy, our freshman Teague, the 4th-string quarterback. We had to get behind him and let him know, hey, we got you. You got to believe in everything.
Coach, back-to-back 7-win seasons in Kingsville for the first time since 09-10. Have you felt, we see the results on the field. Have you felt the culture change within the program since your arrival?
Definitely. I think that's why we're able to take the step. Obviously, culture was big when we got there. It's taken buy-in from these guys, but that sort of allowed us to sustain and go through some rough patches because of the guys in our locker room and what they're made of and who they are when really, you know, things get tough.
Xavier, you guys had the number 2 ranked rushing defense in the conference last year, and every coach up here is going to get up here and talk about stopping the run. You got to stop the run. You got to stop the run. But how much, from your perspective, and I know a lot of this comes from top down, How much of an emphasis is there for you guys to make sure that you guys are the best rush defense in the conference?
I feel like, just consistency. We preach on consistency. Coach Bish laid the foundation of the defense, how the defense wanted to be run. It is up to us to maintain and meet his standard.
DeMarcus, he mentioned that your defensive coordinator, Jameson Bish, last year was his first season there. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to play under him and what he brings to this program?
He's a great defensive coordinator, and he believes in his players. So his defense, basically, he puts us in a position to make plays, and we have to make the plays.
Cavante, you were a first-team all-conference pick last year, big part of the success of this offense. When you take a look at your offense and what you guys have coming back and heading into 24, what has you really excited about this Javelinas offense?
I'm excited about the O-line. I'm in the O-line room, and I feel like we have guys that can step in if it won't be no drop-off if somebody go out. So I feel like we have the depth to go into this season and have a long run.
And Coach Salinas, final question from me. Did you intentionally bring some of your biggest players to try to intimidate the rest of the Lone Star Conference?
No, did not.
No.
There were two first-team all-conference performers, and I think if DeMarcus wouldn't have gone down with an injury, he'd be in the same boat.
But it doesn't hurt, though, right?
No.
Okay. Mike Salinas and the Texas A&M Kingsville Javelinas. Western State joining the stage today, and head coach Rich Renner. Coach, I was doing my research coming into to Lone Star Conference Football Media Day, and I noticed a really interesting thing, and I'm not sure if anybody else has noticed it, but you are not Bill Maskell.
No, sir, I'm not.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed. First time in 22 years, he's not the head coach. You're long-time defensive coordinator. How do you balance taking over a program that is steady and things are going well with also putting your own stamp on the program?
Well, first of all, I want to thank, obviously, Dr. Haney and obviously Kyle Williams for this opportunity. I want to thank Coach Maskell that for 17 years poured into me. And obviously, when you take over a program like Coach Maskell's, it's like giving keys to the Ferrari and say, don't wreck it. So we got to make sure that I keep things going on the right track. And obviously, the cupboards weren't bare when we took over because obviously recruited a lot of these kids. So it was an easy transition, but obviously, too, it's a lot of work because now your roles change, as you know, going into be a head coach and from a coordinator position. So now you're responsible not just for the defense side of the ball, but all three phases.
Speaking of the gentleman that you helped bring into Midwestern, can you tell us about the gentleman to your left?
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to, obviously, fifth-year senior here that we call him mayor of Wichita Falls here, but this is Titus Howard Jr. And then obviously junior tight end that is a great playmaker and obviously just keeps getting better and better every week, Kelby Hickerson.
Titus, I want to start with you. Last year it was a grind to 4-6. It was just the second, losing season, not counting the COVID year since 1999. So coming off that, what are the conversations like within the program? What's the energy like coming off of 2023?
We know we just left a lot of money out there on the table. If you look at the games that we lost, they weren't blowouts or anything like that. Besides, like maybe one or two, we were close with a lot of teams up there at the top. So, just learning how to finish. Probably could have took like 5 plays from each game that we lost, and if they go our way, our record is not 4-6. So just learning that and just trying to change the outcome.
Kelby, what differences have you noticed between Coach Maskell and Coach Renner, and what have you seen as far as the transition is concerned?
There's been a lot of differences with Coach Renner. The biggest one is definitely our community. We're always giving back to the community, community service, going to different sporting events, and just supporting everybody around us.
Coach, even though it's your first year as the head coach, you're one of the longest tenured coaches in this conference. So you have a unique perspective. When you take a look at this conference as a whole, I'm curious just from your perspective what you see when you see this conference.
Well, obviously, like the coaches said earlier, Coach Lee, this is a very competitive conference, one of the best, I think, in the country. I always believe that. There's a lot of great coaches in this conference. Obviously, I've coached with a few in this room, and it's just an honor to be here. It's an honor to be a part of Midwestern State, but also to the Lone Star Conference. And what, Jay's done, for the conference these last 10 years is remarkable, and he just continues to keep building.
Titus, the defense was third in the conference last year. You were a big part of that. Now Coach Renner, head coach, Michael Veit, the new defensive coordinator. I'm curious what the differences in that you're seeing now with the new coaching setup. You got new voices in your ear, but kind of the same guys still hanging around too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really nothing different. It's the same system. Same thing. Some verbiage might have changed, here or there, but the good thing is it's pretty much the same defense. So really nothing really big of a change. So which makes it easy for us. So we just got to go out there and just play.
From a Spring Lion to an Austin Anderson Trojan, Kelby, I want to ask you about the offense last year, which up and down at times last year. Heading into 2024, what is y'all's main focus to make sure that this becomes that kind of elite offense that we've seen from Midwestern in the past?
Just the little things. Like, we were short on a lot of things last year, but just the focus needs to be there, play after play after play, and not take any plays off.
Folks, the Mustangs of Midwestern State. How much do you feel like in the first year there at West Texas, we saw the team grow, how much do you feel like you grew as a coach in your first year?
Well, a lot. I mean, I think the veterans in the room, coaching veterans in the room, I think every year you always learn something. And being back in the Lone Star Conference, it's, coming back into it from where I was, it hasn't dropped off any. And, you better get better every day. And you better, adding additions to the West Coast guys have been great additions, so Ross. And, it may not be one big thing, but you learn something every season that you're out there.
Can you tell me about the three gentlemen to your left?
Absolutely. My first one here is JT Cavender. JT's another guy that's been here three different times. I told him, they should probably just give him an award, since him and our Western Oregon guy. Right in the middle there is Zach Schlager. Zach came with us from the University of Nebraska-Kearney. He was with us there a couple years there. And down on the end is Tyree Tipton, a wide receiver from Lubbock, Texas, and kind of our staple leader on offense and a vocal guy over there.
JT, I'll start with you. You're a veteran on this team. Coach mentioned you've been around a long time. I think you're going to MC next year. You led the conference. You've led the conference tackles. Where do you feel like you've grown the most during your career?
Yeah. So Coach Vaughn is our fantastic linebacker coach. And he gets a group of plays together after every game, and he'll sit there and tell me that based off of these plays, he'll grade me out at a C-. And so he's helping me realize that that's just how much I'm leaving out there on the table, and that I can be great every single play, but that I need to quit taking off the plays and get after it. And so just helping me realize that I can be that much more better, and just realizing that I can put in a lot more work.
Zach, Coach mentioned you're a transfer from Nebraska-Kearney. I know you've got a previous relationship with Coach Lynn, but why was West Texas the right fit for you, the right landing spot for you?
Going in the portal, I've been in the portal a couple times now, but I've been around the block. But going into it, kind of always had them in the back of my mind. I have great connections with these coaches. I trust Coach Lynn with my life, Coach Vaughn, Coach Gallus, I've always loved them. They've always had my back going into the whole process. They were going to support me no matter where I went. But really, I came down on that visit. He really wanted me to get down there and went down on the visit and just fell in love with the place right away.
Tyree, you guys went 3-7 last year, but you lost 4 games by a combined 17 points. So you're real close in a lot of them. So I'm curious, based on that, what is kind of the overall feeling and vibe within the program, considering how last year went?
So based off that, we just know that we could play with any team in this conference. Like you said, by 17 points, we went to OT with PB. We don't slip on that. I feel like we win, but it's just everybody's like, okay, cool. We know what we can do. We know we can go out here. We know that we can win.
Coach Lynn, you guys played 2 scrimmages against Colorado State Pueblo in the offseason. You don't have to do that. What was the thought behind that, and what do you think you and your team gained from it?
Yeah, it was awesome, and it was just one scrimmage.
One scrimmage.
I'd have loved to play them twice. But no, it's a good, gosh, it was great. A lot of reps. Everybody got to play. Another thing, too, Pueblo was a really good football team. In the spring, it showed some weaknesses that we had, that we addressed here throughout the course of the rest of the spring and summer. And it just gives you another opportunity against a really good football team and a live opponent. And, from the starters to the maybe not the starters. Everybody gets reps, and it's a good opportunity to go see another opponent, a really good opponent outside of our conference too. So but we're going to do it again this year. We're going to go to their place, and it's a learning tool, and I'm really glad we did it.
JT, I want to flash back to September 30th, late third quarter against Western Oregon. You had a 65-yard fumble return for a touchdown. Okay, now I looked this up. That was your first touchdown since September 29th, 2019. You had 2 touchdowns against Burleson Centennial, Midlothian. Can you take us through the touchdown against Western Oregon?
Yeah, so that touchdown was really lucky. I'm not going to lie. You could kind of count it as an interception. It never touched the ground. But, yeah, he took the handoff, and he never got a clean handoff. And it just kind of bounced around on top of everybody and fell right in my hands. And luckily, I turned around, and there was nobody there. And I just took off. And luckily, a little bit fast enough to nobody could catch me. But it was fun. It was something else. I didn't expect it.
Coach, were you worried he was going to get caught from behind?
It crossed my mind.
Okay, yeah, okay. I figured that was the case. Zach, you're in a unique position kind of coming into the program to kind of view the roster from the outside. What about this team has you fired up?
Kind of just going through summer workouts. The big thing is just there's so many dudes. Like, they're younger, but they played a lot last year. A lot of guys have played a lot of ball. So I'm really excited. And especially being in the system, they're finally in the system for a year. So the foundation's been laid. And so I'm ready. It's time to build on it and time to finally turn things around here.
Tyree, enough about the defense. Talk scoring. Let's talk offense. You guys, solid year offensively last year. What have been the big focuses for you guys in the offseason to get you guys from the middle of the pack to the top of the pack?
Just getting more playmakers, really. We got short guys. We got people that can take you deep. We got good running backs. We got a solid O-line. Nobody on our O-line left. So our offense is going to be clicking, I feel like.
The Buffs of West Texas A&M. When you take a look at 2023, how do you assess what you guys were able to do in your first year?
We were competitive, close but no cigar. I think 9 of our games were decided by a touchdown. So we looked at that. We could have been 9-2. Downside to that is we could have been 2-9, and we fell somewhere in the middle. And we got a lot back, and hoping we've learned some things and can win some of those close games this year.
A quick follow-up to that, because you mentioned you played so many close games. In your mind, does that speak to just the strength and the parity of this conference as a whole?
Absolutely. You get a team like Western Oregon rated 8th in our conference. That's hard to even believe when you see how talented they are and the tradition they have and what a great job Coach Arn does. But it speaks to the depth in our conference and how talented these programs are and these players are.
Can you introduce us to the 2 gentlemen to your left?
Sure. Right here is Zarian Meander. He's a 6th-year guy, one of those COVID guys. And over there is Mario Sanchez, our starting quarterback.
Zarian, I want to start with you. 6th-year guy. 2023 was a real roller coaster year for the Greyhounds. A hot start, 5 losses in a row, but then finished strong. What do you think is going to be the key for you guys to maybe be more consistent and find those 1 or 2 plays to get you guys to where you want to go?
I would say the margin for error is very minimal when you play in the LSC conference. I feel like any given Saturday, a team can win or lose. It doesn't matter who it is. So for us, it's just a margin of error and staying who we are.
Mario, you triggered the 2nd best scoring offense in the Lone Star Conference last year out of the triple option offense. What are your expectations for this offense for 2024? Now that another year under coach, what are your expectations for the offense in 24?
I'm really excited. We got a lot of our returners coming back, and really just another year of growth through like spring and fall camp coming. Obviously, I'm looking forward to be like a better field general for the team, make sure we're in the correct looks we got to be, and really just I really don't think we're going to miss a step at all, and hopefully we'll be the leading offense of this conference. Yes, sir.
Coach, kind of following up on that, you told at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, you told our Corey Hogue that you felt like you guys were miles ahead of where you were at this point last year. What has you so bullish about this ball club?
Well, just the number of returners we have and the discipline that they've shown through the offseason and in the summer. We've got 70 guys, which is pretty much what we left off spring all here, all summer long working. And that bodes well because it takes a sacrifice to in Division II football to stay around in the summer, especially in a town like Portales, where there's not a lot of things going on. So I think that helps bond the guys. They got to really get to know each other and lean on each other and builds that team chemistry and camaraderie.
And Zarian, the defense, again, up and down last year as a whole. When you take a look at your team and your unit on the defensive side, what about that defense has you excited heading into 24?
The young guys. I think we got a lot of hungry young guys and a group of young guys who are bought in to our culture and our standard, and they uphold that every day. I've seen it grow through the summer, and I just can't wait to be out there with them.
And how much of the responsibility, as a sixth-year guy, as an old man on this team, how much of the responsibility to be that leader falls on you?
I would say quite a bit, just being more vocal and leading by example, just bringing them along and just not doing the bare minimum.
And Mario, I want to ask you, a second year for you under Coach Lee. Now that you have a year under your belt, what's it like to play for Coach Lee? What's it like to be a part of this program? Be careful, he's sitting right here.
For sure. No, I mean, it's a blessing. Coach Lee's all about winning, and I think when you have a head coach like that, it's easy to play for. It's easy to, rally around him and stuff like that. And, I mean, kind of same thing. Like, if I have 50 yards rushing and 50 yards passing, that's fine with me. But if we win, hey, I'm happy. So,
folks, the Greyhounds of Eastern New Mexico. Coach Ferguson, last year, in the grand scheme of things, in your 20 years there at West Morgan, last year was an aberration. 3-8, a difficult season. But what has you optimistic heading into 2024 that 2023 was an anomaly?
First of all, we feel good about our offensive defensive line. We feel that they're physical, can add some things. Really, we only lose 2 starters on offense and 2 starters on defense. We realize our skill guys, especially with Froggy right next to him going down early, who's the main leader of our skill guys, wasn't the experience that we needed, so we struggled in those 2 areas, and it cost us.
Can you tell me a little bit about the gentleman to your left?
Froggy's his 3rd time being here. That's his nickname. Everybody calls him Froggy. Great leader, great player, and hoping he has the opportunity to go on and play after this.
Damon, I want to ask you, you battled through injuries in 2023. First question is, how are you feeling now? And what was 2023 like for you? Such an integral part of this team, but standing on the sidelines. What was 2023 like for you?
Well, first off, I'm feeling good, feeling 100%. Coach Metzger, I'm not sure where she's at, but she got me right over the winter and spring. So I'm happy for this summer, see where we get to, and ready for the season. But seeing it from the sidelines, I would say it was different. You definitely view it from a different perspective, just being a player. But you have those moments where you're like, I could be in there, like, helping my team. But at the same time, you're like on the sideline as an older dude, as a leader, as Coach Ferg said, you try to help your guys push through adversity. And so trying to get them tips on what they can do to just keep going forward in the games, it's just like something I grew, like I would say, grew up over time over those games.
Malcolm, on the defensive side, you were an honorable mention all-conference pick a year ago. For you personally, what kind of goals have you set for yourself heading into 2024?
Shoot, I got a lot of goals, but before a football player, I'm a man of God, and the first thing I want to do is glorify God, through my football performance, and just let everything else follow.
Coach, we mentioned you're in your 20th season. Not trying to date you here. You're tied for the 4th longest tenured coach in Division II. I looked that up. So you arrived back in 2005. What are the biggest differences that you see in this program now versus when you arrived?
A lot of things have changed. I mean, the Northwest used to be a North and a South Division, Mount Hood, all NEI. Division II's changed that. The GNAC, teams left that or stopped football. Then joined the Lone Star, which is, I believe, is the most athletic conference. We're fortunate last year to play South Dakota State, and our skill guys at this level can equal those guys. I mean, it's amazing the skill guys in this conference that you have to match up to. For changes Western Oregon, full-time strength coach Corey Metzger has made a huge difference in our program of developing mainly Oregon kids that aren't playing enough football. It's not like Texas. So there's huge growth there. And then also the school itself. It's about 7,000 when everything's going well. And the amount that they put into football and for us to be able to travel. I kind of look at this as an opportunity where the Pac-12 split and all that stuff, like, well, Central and Western been doing that for a while, 3 years now already, trying to get in the best conference available.
Damon, last year the Wolves were really remarkably young, really young ball club. You're a senior, you're a veteran on this ball club. How much responsibility do you feel and do you take to be a leader and to step up into big leadership roles?
I would say I take a lot of responsibility in it. I've always been a part of teams where I've had the leadership type of role. But I feel like this year it's more about being a vocal leader. I've always tried to lead by example, but like you said, we got a lot of young guys, so not a lot of maturity. So sometimes you need like that extra coaching step, extra voice of encouragement and wisdom. And so I feel like being more of a vocal leader is going to be more of my responsibility this year.
And Malcolm, last year the defense really did flash at times, had some outstanding years, but again, very young defense. When you take a look at your unit and the defense, what has you really excited about this Wolves defense?
Like Coach Ferg said, our strength lies in our D-line. But we got some, upcoming linebackers that I'm really excited to watch, and same with our DBs.
The Wolves of Western Oregon, ladies and gentlemen. You're entering your second season there at the helm of the Mustangs. We talked last year. You were sitting in these very comfy chairs a year ago. What do maybe you know now about this job that you didn't know when we were sitting here a year ago?
A lot. I have said for the last few months that of anyone in this league, I'm going to be the most improved. I had 13 years experience as a coordinator at a few different schools and was really fortunate to have head coaches that I worked for that offered me a lot of responsibility and thought I knew what I was getting into, but there's just so much that you don't realize it goes on behind the scenes. So I'm excited this year to feel like I have a much better grasp on stuff.
Can you tell me about the young men sitting to your left?
Sure. On the left, Cole Alama is Queen Creek, Arizona. He was our defensive freshman of the year in the league last year, and the young blood in the room, I believe, the only sophomore here. So Q is an outstanding tackle for us. I actually recruited Q to Luther College 5 or 6 years ago now. So he's been with me at a couple different institutions.
Q, I want to start with you. 2024, tough for the Mustangs, 2-8, but you guys did end on a positive note with a second consecutive win in the Green Chili Bowl. Have you felt that the way that last season ended has carried over some momentum into the offseason and in 2024?
Honestly, it just kind of sets the tone for us. It just lets us know, we got each other, we're ready, we know what we can do, so we just got to be consistent with it. So we're just ready for what's coming up next.
Most certainly. Cole, co-defensive freshman of the year last year, an outstanding breakout year for you. What did that honor mean to you, and what are you working on moving forward to head into 2024?
Yeah, no, that award felt great to receive, but of course I wouldn't have got that award if it wasn't for my teammates and my coaches helped me get there. And yeah, that award kind of set the tone because everybody on the defense wants to get that Defensive Player of the Year award. So everyone's just competing with each other and growing together.
Coach, I want to ask you a little bit about kind of the state of play in college football, the transfer portal. You guys have been both the beneficiary of the transfer portal and also the is donor the right word? Into the transfer portal. And so I'm curious now, with a year under your belt, what is your philosophy kind of approaching the portal?
We don't use the portal that much. Silver City is a wonderful community that we love. I don't know that it is the most attractive transfer portal destination. But I think it's something that we spend a lot of time recruiting our current players, making sure that retention has sort of a new enemy. Before it was, I'm not playing football or maybe academics, and now the transfer portal adds an element to that to make sure that you're recruiting your own players. So it's something that's certainly not going to go away, and obviously we're going to take advantage of it sometimes, but it just is what it is.
Q, I want to ask you about, you've had a year now with Coach Hickman there. You guys go way back. You guys have known each other for a while. But he's a guy who's now going to have a better familiarity with the program and the roster. How do you feel like that is going to help you guys heading into 2024, just having Coach Hickman for the second year?
Honestly, just playing for Coach Hickman, he's definitely probably the best coach I've ever played for. He makes sure we communicate with each other like we're like close. So like honestly, that's just one thing we're looking forward to this year. Like everyone's like all camaraderie, familiar with each other. So he's been doing a good well with building the chemistry for us.
And Cole, I want to ask you about the defense. Last year, struggled a little bit defensively. What are the priorities you guys are working on this offseason on the defensive side to make sure you guys are able to make that leap and contend?
Yeah, we didn't have a great year last year defensively, but we're switching a lot of things up, switching people around, making the right moves, and really focusing on just coming together and learning everybody and just knowing like how they play and how the person next to you is going to play.
Folks, give it up for the Mustangs of Western New Mexico. Coach, exciting times out there in Alpine with the move to Division II. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe the energy around Alpine, around the university right now with this transition?
Yeah, I think just having a new view, and we're very humbled that the Lone Star accepted us, and we're definitely excited to take the next step and compete at a higher level. Our guys have been just electric this offseason about moving up and being able to compete at this level. So, it's definitely going to be a transition, but we're excited to get the opportunity that these guys have been craving probably for the last few years.
Can you tell me about the young men sitting to your right?
Yeah, this is Quincy Blair, 5 years, right? Yep. He's one of the OGs, along with Vince right next to him. Been here since I was the offensive coordinator at Sul Ross. So these guys have both worked their tail off and on both sides of the ball. And these guys have definitely weathered the test of time, and now they're ready. So,
Vicente, I want to start with you. From a player perspective, what has the Lone Star Conference and the move to Division II been like for you within the locker room, within the program?
Everybody's pretty excited for it. I mean, we get to play a whole new conference, a whole new league of teams. So just being able to expand our competition field and, play against new people is really exciting.
Quincy, you're an old man now, 5th year there in Alpine. How have you seen the program change since you first arrived out there in Alpine?
I've seen everybody that came into our program, they've grown and they've actually matured into and bought out what we wanted for our program, basically.
Coach, I want to ask you, the challenges. I know there's a lot of excitement out there in Alpine for the move to Division II from Division III, but there are challenges as well. From your perspective, what are those challenges that you're navigating to make that transition?
well, first of all, this is one of the toughest Division II conferences in the nation. All right, there's definitely going to be a step up in talent. Having been and witnessed what the Lone Star has, is just something that we've had to communicate with our guys and our football program and our coaches. That not only through the recruiting process, but also making sure that our guys are trying to up their level of play and develop, so that way we can compete at this talent. So, it's one of the toughest transitions out there, but we're going to go up and give it everything that we got in our competition.
Vicente, a kid from San Diego, now out there in Alpine, you were a second-team All-American Southwest Conference pick last season. When you take a look at this offense there at Sul Ross moving into 2024, what has you most excited about this unit?
I think because usually we get a couple of players and they take off after like grades or something like that. So I'm excited for this year. We got a lot of people returning on offense. I think we got 8 of our 11 starters returning on offense. So just to be with that group of guys again and build the relationship, like the trust with everybody, knowing we're all on the same page and all that, that's what I'm really excited for.
Quincy, shout out Thorpe and Marshall. This is a defense that at times up and down last season there, and now you're moving into, as Coach said, one of the best leagues in Division II. What are you guys focused on defensively this offseason to make sure you guys are able to make that leap?
We're building chemistry because we have a young group of guys from last year coming back, and we have a few others coming in, so we're just building chemistry, molding together, and being probably one of the best defenses, basically.
Folks, welcome back to the Lone Star Conference. I know they're absolutely thrilled to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lobos of Sul Ross State.